of course, I'm going to start with some stories. And I'm going to tell you a story about how my expression was paralyzed and how it's all part of my spiritual curriculum. So I'm 5 years old. I'm in kindergarten, and I am in the very back of the class. Catalina, I already see you smiling, thinking about those kindergartners. I'm in the back of the class, and I am chatting away to the girl next to me. And the teacher calls me out for talking. And then she says, and Donna, try sitting like a lady. I can still hear all of the metal chairs scraping across the cement floor as every single kid in that class pushed themselves away from their desk, spun around so that they could look at me in the back of the room where I was squatting on my chair in a skirt with my bloomers to the sky. My face turned beet red. The shame and the humiliation came over me like a shroud, like a blanket that I would go on to hide underneath for a really long time. Fast forward, now I'm 14 years old. I'm a freshman in high school. I'm young and impressionable. I'm awkward and self-conscious. And I agreed to do it probably on peer pressure, but because my girlfriends thought that it would be a good idea for me to step up to the podium in the high school auditorium for my drama class assignment. Shaking, sweaty palmed, and with cotton mouth, I read the love poem that I secretly wrote to Joe Diadio, who was in the audience, hoping and praying that he would return my feelings of young love. Everyone laughed. Everyone knew that I was proclaiming my not so secret love to Joey. The shame and the humiliation was activated inside of me again, this time locking in the surety that I would never share in public again. With my shoulders sunken and my head hanging in disgrace, I make my way back to my auditorium seat, and I decide in that moment that my mouth and my heart are going to stay closed for a really long time. So now it's 2015, and I'm 47 years old, and I'm in my second year at the University of Santa Monica pursuing my master's degree. And I can't ignore what is bubbling up inside of me that wants to be let out. I can no longer deny the pressure of this expression that wanted to be let out, particularly as it related to things in the area of metaphysics and spirituality and psychology. So I've managed to fly under the radar for a pretty long time, but this time I pick a safe route and I hide behind my computer. I write a blog post. It's about the importance of raising our vibration. And in it, I cite the work of Dr. David Hawkins and the map of consciousness. I hang the post up on my website. No one is coming to my website. No one has any idea who Donna Bond even is. At this point, I am not a coach. I'm but barely even thinking about coaching, let alone actually coaching. But I hang up this blog post on my website where nobody was going. 2 months go by. And then I received an email from widow Susan Hawkins, the wife of late Dr. David Hawkins, letting me know that I was illegally talking about the map of consciousness, and how if I didn't take down my blog post, she was going to sue me for $100,000. These are just a few of the examples, folks. And I know some of you who are here in the room today have watched me, right? You've watched me grow and emerge and become even more bold in my expression. These were just a few examples of why it was really, really, really scary for me to speak up or speak out or to share my voice or my heart. And I had a choice. I had a choice to either stay quiet or to face my fear. If I stayed quiet, suppressing and withholding what was inside of me that wanted to come out, I would be out of alignment with my soul's calling, which if I'm out of alignment with my soul's calling, I'm going to be out of alignment with a lot of other things in my life, probably my relationships or my health or my work in the world. If I stayed quiet, we wouldn't be here together today. So with grit and grace, I faced those fears one little tiny step at a time, pulling myself out of the shadows of shame and persistently growing back my courage and my confidence to share what needed to be let out. Our soul's calling is not meant to be easy peasy. It's called spiritual curriculum for a reason, because your soul's coursework to learn and grow is to gain experience. And that experience, when it's inside of you, transforms itself into wisdom. And it is that wisdom that we come for. We come for that wisdom because that is our soul's journey. That's what our soul signed up for. Because my expression is very much tied to my soul's calling, it continues to be a rich source of material for my own learning and growth. As a matter of fact, last weekend, I had the opportunity to be in an advanced spiritual psychology class. And it was 5 minutes before the break. People had been sharing for nearly an hour. My hand was up. With 5 minutes left, I saw Mary Holnick, our professor, intuiting who she was going to call on next. And inside of myself, I'm thinking, don't call on me, don't call on me, don't call on me, don't call on me. And guess who she calls on? She calls on me. And I, in front of 200 people, lost my footing, and everything that I wanted to share completely left my consciousness. And it was like this giant void. It was just this blank space. But in that moment, I stayed with myself. I didn't abandon myself. I didn't go into my usual filling of the space with whatever I was going to fill the space with and making it sound rosy and telling Ron and Mary how much I love them and how grateful I was to be in the room and leaving it at that and stepping down and letting everybody go to lunch. Instead, I stayed with myself. And I could feel my heart beating through my chest. And I could feel how uncomfortable I was as 200 people in the room waited with me to share whatever it was I was going to share. And so I just kept breathing. I just kept breathing. And it was a really big step for me. It wasn't really about what I shared. It was about the fact that I didn't leave myself during the share. I didn't leave myself when I was afraid, when my heart was beating, when my mouth was cottony and I was uncomfortable. And in that moment, I experienced a shift. I experienced an inner transformation. I experienced the wisdom that came from my courage, that came from that courageous act. As you all know, I have freed my expression to a great degree. And there's even more inside of me that wants to be let out, which is how and why my path crossed with Evelyn Brink. Evelyn lives in a world of possibility. From what I can tell, she doesn't really take no for an answer. I would say that she lives in a space of miracles, largely in part because she believes in them. Evelyn was told that she would never dance again, and her doctor handed her her crutches. But that didn't stop her from living out her soul's purpose, which at the time was her channeling her inner pop star. That next year, she went on to be Europe's #1 Madonna impersonator. Any girls from the 80s in the room? Can I see your hands? Yeah, She did that. Then she was told, your son won't live. Your son won't live. Evelyn reports today, he's fine. He goes to mainstream school, and Evelyn is a proud mother of 2, both with what she calls medical extras. Evelyn has a genius. And in a very short amount of time, in one group setting that I had the opportunity to be with her, and in another private setting where I had the opportunity to be coached by her one-on-one, I had some big shifts. I had some profound inner realizations of the way in which I have stood in my own way of standing forward even more authentically and even more powerfully, while at the same time, I get to fulfill my soul's purpose. So I've invited Evelyn to be here with us today to give us all an experience in freeing our silenced voices. The fact that I didn't abandon myself last weekend in front of 200 people was largely in part due to the work that I did with Evelyn last week. So without further ado, if everybody could please take yourself off mute and give it up for Evelyn Brink. Woo, woo. Evelyn, welcome.